Well, hello there. It's Wake Up with KC. I'm Kimberly. And, during this pandemic and, with the COVID, and there's been a lot of lockdowns and whatnot. And I don't know about you, but I took what is it that I want to do? What can I change? Because what else am I going to do? Lockdown. So I started thinking about everything in what I've accomplished, what I struggled, and looked at life in a different perspective. And I know somebody that I've known since high school, and he's done some amazing things. And he took the same thing concept as myself of reevaluating his life and did a whole transformation. And he joins us today. So please welcome Antonio Piedra. Antonio, welcome.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hey.
Hey.
So a lot has happened in both of our lives since high school, class of 86, Coconut Creek High. We've met through reunions, and I do believe our 35th is this year.
That's
So
scary.
yeah, that's scary. No, to me it's more exciting. It's like, wow, we lived another 5 years to get together again. But this pandemic has totally like turned a lot of people's lives upside down. And you've accomplished doing music videos. You've done a commercial for
Movies too.
and movies and photography too. So how did that all come in play? When did you discover that that's what you wanted to do?
Well, you know, they say life happens for us, not to us. I think to a degree that's accurate, but everything I'm doing now just happened by accident, really. What I thought I wanted to do was not what I ended up doing. It wasn't what I thought it would be. And, I fell into doing television and videos and film by accident. I used to be in the exotic car business and ended up not liking it and found myself having to find another trade. And I went into producing television accidentally, really, just because I was helping a friend out. And I turned out to be good at it. And 20 plus years later, here I am.
Wow. And through that process, what did you find that was inspiring or like, wow, I can't believe I did that? Do you have any like projects that you did that was really like you even impressed yourself?
Mm, well, uh, being in film and television in this market's been an uphill battle since day one. Plus, I never went to school for it, so it was just something I picked up. Um, so there wasn't the community down here, the culture that kind of nurtures that talent and the relationships that kind of help you move up the ladder. So it's been very challenging. If I had to do it all over again, I probably would do it very differently. Would have gone to LA much sooner, and but that's here nor there. Um, uh, it's been an interesting journey. Yeah, yeah, I've kind of done it all. So in this field,
Right. And I know during the pandemic, it sort of hit a lot of people's livelihoods, such as yourself. What did you do during the pandemic in like evaluating of, okay, this has happened, this is out of my control, I got to do something, and
hey,
how
for
did
me it was fun.
you
So I stayed. I stayed home for a while because I was also recovering from surgery. So there were like 3 months where I didn't see anybody, and I'd have food delivered to the house and stuff. But uh, I've been writing a book for a couple of years now, more than a couple of years. So I started writing the book again, which I hope to release next year, which is called Live, Dream, Love, Lose, Rinse, and Repeat. So it's about
Interesting.
what's that?
I said, interesting. Is this about your own journey in life and the experiences and the realizations that you've had?
Yeah, yeah, and how they apply to a lot of observations that I've made about life and people's beliefs and beliefs that we have as a culture that uh, that are really fractured. You remember Bullwinkle and Rocky and Fractured Fairy Tales?
Yes.
Okay, so life I see as a fractured fairy tale. We think it's going to be like this, and then it's like has really bad twists. And some of them are not so good, and some of them are surprisingly rewarding. So it's my observation on those fractured nuances that we have in life. So,
Well, wouldn't you agree that it also is a part, not just society, but our upbringing and, the limited beliefs, the mental programming, and
oh
even
yeah,
emotional, energetic traumas that
oh
keeps
yeah. I have a chapter called the
order?
Disney Dilemma. I have a chapter called the Disney Dilemma, and it basically breaks down how we're kind of brainwashed as little kids. That the way love is, and little girls are princesses, and they're gonna find their prince, and their Prince Charming, and live happily ever after, and they'll be taken care of. And that's why that's I think that's a huge contributor why we have so many uh, people that are unhappy in their love lives, and 50-year-old women running around with little tiaras, uh, which sounds funny, but hey, I've been out and about, and I see it.
Well, that mentality, mindset, yes. But it's also not just
They're like,
it leaves me.
I'm not settling till I meet my prince. Hey, wait a minute. You're 53 years old. Running out
Wow.
of time, girl.
But it's also, what we're taught to believe about how love's supposed to be and how relationships supposed to be, the man's supposed to be, the expectations of what the man's supposed to do in the relationship, and then what the woman's supposed to do in the relationship. And
Yeah, but
it's just
who comes up with
horrible.
this? Yeah, it's horrible. It's who comes up with this? I think it's uh, you know, you always hear it. They say, who's they? I'd like to get them in a room and just shoot them all. Uh, a few years ago, I was at a dinner party, and there was this girl. Her name was Kathy. She was giving a relationship advice to all the other girls at the dinner party, and I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, isn't this the same lady who's on her fourth marriage? What the hell would she know about having a successful relationship and finding love? She's 40
Well,
years old on her fourth marriage. So, I said, hey, I don't think you should be giving any advice, with all due respect, because some of the stuff she was saying was all wrong. It was just kind of like,
wow.
oh, playing games and stuff. And I'm like, well, that's why you're on your fourth marriage, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Those tactics didn't
Wow.
work for you. And it was funny. I told her that what she should be given advice on is a good divorce attorney, because she obviously has one.
Oh my gosh, what did she say?
She got mad, but everybody else thought it was funny, so hey, it don't matter.
Wow, it's amazing how people can, the mindsets, the beliefs, the programmings, and it does come from society, culture, and religion.
Yeah, well, we live in a
Unfortunately.
fast track culture. I mean, a friend of mine, Kimberly, years ago, called me up, told me she was getting married, and wished her all the best. A year and a half later, I spoke to her again, and she told me she was getting divorced. I was like, what? And what surprised me was her attitude towards marriage, because I asked her, I said, when did you realize that this wasn't going to work out and that you were going to get divorced? And she actually told me the day of her wedding. And then I asked her, why did you get married? She's like, oh, because the honeymoon was going to be so great and we got all these gifts. And I figured, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll just get divorced. And that's the generation and culture we're in. People think, well, if it doesn't work out, I can always get out tomorrow. So.
Well,
And I've actually met women in my life that is almost like their career. They don't have any type of career, and they're like professional wives. They go from relation to relationship, marriage to marriage. And I probably know half a dozen women that are on their fourth or fifth marriage. That's a lot, I think. I don't know. I mean, you could say, hey, it's only getting better.
Oh my gosh. That's like, why would you put your time and energy just to go through all that and then relocate, remove? You got to go change your driver's license. That's just too much work. No, sorry.
Well, because they look at it as social mobility, you know? Yeah. I mean, shit, you go to Boca and you'll see a lot of beautiful, single, older women that have been married, at least twice, don't work, have a nice lifestyle, they're taken care of. And, you know, it's not the norm, but in certain circles it is. I
Wow.
mean, being in the entertainment business, I mean, there's certain women that only date high profile people. And it's not uncommon to go to New York or LA or Atlanta and meet, a group of women that just bounce from, you know, singer to actor to athlete, and that's all they do. And they do nothing else. And those are the relationships they have. Those are the marriages. And, they don't have a profession or any goals outside of life other than, maybe having kids and going to the spa. But, that's the culture that some people live in.
Wow. And what about men? Have you noticed that there's some men that do the same?
Well, men don't necessarily get married for social mobility. I mean, I think, what I noticed the last few years is that men are very cautious about those type of women. I can recall being in certain scenarios with male friends of mine that are very successful and older than I am, giving me advice on who to stay away from. Or when we're in a public place and we see a group of women, they can spot them right away and say, stay away from them. They're only out for ABC. So it's dating in general is tough enough as it is, but when you're in a certain industry, you got to be careful because there's people that just want you to meet them, or they want you to introduce them to somebody or do something for them, or when I was doing a lot of high profile stuff, I used to tell the women I dated, hey, listen, I can't do anything for you. I'm just a working guy. I'm low on the totem pole. Yeah, I've done some stuff, but if you're looking for someone to take care of you, I'm not that guy.
Right.
If you're looking for someone who's got a great personality and will make you laugh and will always have fun, I'm that guy. And hey, some of them laugh and appreciate the honesty, and others listen and say, thanks a lot. I won't waste my time then. And they move on to the next guy who hopefully will do something for them. So,
Wow, that's an interesting concept or mindset, and I wonder where they got it from because that's
it's a culture. I mean, you see it on a smaller scale when you go on the dating apps and stuff. I mean, there's you'll see certain women that are on all the apps, and they're serial daters, and they will go out with several guys, and they'll only go out with you if you take them to a certain place, and it's almost kind of like they have a wish list of, okay, these are the places that I want to go to, and they're all high profile, very expensive, who's who, want to be seen, and there's that group of people that are out there. And mind you, there's men like that also that only want to go out with, little trophy girls that, I know a gentleman, very successful Italian gentleman, and he kind of likes those kind of women because he knows what he's getting into, and he knows what it's going to cost him. And he's like, I pay them to have fun and I pay them to go away.
oh wow.
So, yeah. So this idea of finding this fairy tale or movie or novel type love is, it's as ridiculous as love is at first sight. It's only TV and movies, and I run away and shy away from adults that still think like that because you just got to look at the statistics. I mean, statistically, 50% of all marriages end in 3 years, and the remainder 50% end within 7 years. So that's a hell of a lot of people that made a mistake about love at first sight.
Well,
So
yeah.
they were obviously, what these are the same people that said, you just know. You just know. I saw her, I saw him, and I just knew they were the one. No, no, they weren't. You wouldn't be divorced. You wouldn't be fighting over child support and the house and complaining about, losing the better years of your life if you actually knew. If if those, yeah, I always say, when you get those butterflies in your stomach, what's that thing I used to say a lot? Oh, things that start with a sizzle end with a fizzle. You know, so the more excited that you get when you meet someone, the worse it's going to be for you in the end. And it's always like that. Look, Elizabeth Taylor, she was married 7 times. Every time she met someone, he was the one.
Wow.
Would you take advice from her if she wrote a book about love? It'd probably be a bestseller. And I pray for the people who would take her advice because they'd end up like her.
Wow.
But I think my grandma gave me the best advice, which is be with the person. Keep. I'm trying. She would say it in Spanish. I'm trying to translate it. She would say, the woman you want to end up with is the woman that will live with you and love you unconditionally, living under a bridge as she would living in a castle. To her, it's the same. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
And my best relationships have actually been when I almost don't have a pot to piss in. So go figure.
Interesting.
Yep. As a matter of fact, I just saw a great movie called The Big Short. If you haven't seen it yet, you got to see it. It's got an all-star cast. And what's the actor's name that played Batman in the Chris Nolan movies?
Oh,
doggone it! His name escapes me.
On the top of my tip of my tongue, and I can't. Oh, what is his name?
Anyway, the character that he plays was the brilliant guy who had Asperger, who figured out that we were going to have a real estate bubble a year before it happened. He's the guy that predicted it. He made $300 million cutting deals that made him money when the bubble burst. And he, right after that, after he made his money, he got out of the business because he said it was a horrible industry to be in. And he met his wife online. And he was very concerned about people wanting to be his friends or marry him just because he had a lot of money. So when he met someone he liked online, he basically told them that he was handicapped and he was broke. And she still loved him. And he said, that's the one I want to marry. And he ended up marrying her. That's the woman he married. So wow. Before they met, she thought he was handicapped and she thought he was broke, but that was okay. So better advice than that, I don't know.
I think there's a misconception on, what love really is. And I think everyone looks on the outside for love instead of looking on the inside. We are love. It's inside of us. We just got to learn how to go within to tap into it. And then once you really get to know yourself and love yourself, you make space to love somebody else. And I think
that's half the battle. Absolutely. Yeah. But the other half is finding that other person. And, you really don't know till you take that leap of faith and try to connect. And, and the problem I think lies with most people is that they look for all the wrong things. I mean, if you talk to a girlfriend of yours that just met a guy, ask her, tell me about the guy you met, Jason, and see what comes out of her mouth. See how she describes him. Does she describes what he does for a living, what he drives, where he lives? Does she talk about his sense of humor? Is he generous? Is he a family person? So, those first things that she describes within the first 30 seconds really reveals much more about her than it does about the person that she met.
Oh, wow. I
like
look
when you have a guy friend and he tells you, Kimberly, I just met a wonderful girl. And you ask, oh, what's she like? If he says, oh, she's really hot and, she works out and she's got great legs. And, it's like, I still don't know anything about that person. Now, if he says she's got a big heart, she's got 2 kids, she's a family oriented person, she does yoga, but she's not one of these girls that always takes selfies. She goes to church. It gives you a better idea of what the person's like. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you see what he's valuing also. So I think, in short, our society really puts value in all the wrong things. I mean, look at the kids. It's all about bling and having the right car and the right place to live and the image. One of the things I discovered when I was doing a lot of music videos was a lot of these rappers, they didn't own those cars. They didn't own those homes. Those cars were rented. Those homes, most of them will never own, much less rent. The girls in the videos, they'd have to pay for, you know,
Right.
or really, yeah, they'd have to pay for it one way or another. So it's all really
Like,
bad imagery. It's all an illusion. It was disappointing and kind of sad, really.
wow.
I remember I did a music video for this artist in big music video in Orlando, and we were shooting outside the club. And one of the scenes was where they jump in the Bentley and they start driving towards the camera like they're driving away. And we had to shoot that take, which should have been done in one take. We had to shoot it like 7 or 8 times because the guy didn't know how to drive, and he kept pressing buttons like the high beams or the windshield wipers, or the car would do this. And it's like, wait a minute, just put the car put the put the car on drive and put your foot on the brake. And when we say action, just release the pedal slowly and just let the car move forward. Don't even put your foot on the gas. Just let it slowly. We'll do the rest. And after we shot the video, he was trying to bum a ride home. That was funny. I was like, wait a minute. How did you get here?
Wow.
Yeah, so, it's like they say, fake it till you make it. So most of those people just end up faking it till they die, really.
Wow.
You never hear of a lot of them after a while.
And you don't, honestly, you don't like look at some of the, we grew up in the 80s. It's like, where are they now kind of thing? The only one that I honestly know that has made a difference is John Bon Jovi. He has
That's a
a
whole different.
restaurant.
Yeah, that's in a whole different category, stratosphere. There's only one John Bon Jovi. There's only a handful of people that are like that. But yeah, he's Bon
But he's
Jovi. That's
authentic,
an
real.
American rock institution. That's a whole different thing. I mean, 120 million records. Come on. But I know a lot of smaller celebrities from the 80s and 90s that live like normal lives now, or they'll do like these reunion tours. They live pretty normal lives unless they've really, really hit it big.
Now, let me ask you something since you've been in the industry. A lot of times, even like you've met some professional athletes, they're not prepared for major success and what to do with their money when they get that success.
Yeah,
So,
it's the same thing with whether you're an actor, or a rapper, a singer, an artist, because they all have certain shelf lives. Yeah, they'll go through their money real fast, and they'll end up working at Foot Locker, or selling cars or real estate or something.
so
Yeah, they don't know how to manage their money. Yeah, that's a whole art. I mean, you gotta. I haven't mastered that either. It's you gotta have a good business sense.
well, a business coach and someone that's in the expert field in the film and acting that will say, okay, you're going to make this much. You have an agent that has a contract, then why not have a coach that's like, okay, that's already been there, done that, retired, to be able to direct others that, like, here, this is how you manage your money, and you got to put it towards this.
Well, there's a misconception also that all these athletes are rich. They're not. I mean, for example, if you look at what the players on the Heat make, yeah, you'll have your top three players making 18, 20 million or whatever. But as you go down the roster, I mean, lowest paid player might be making 250,000 a year, which is a far stretch from 18 million. The average salary might be 400,000. You got to remember that, if you're an athlete, and let's say let's say you play 6 years professionally, which is, there's a lot. I mean, there's athletes that break that rule, like Brady and stuff, but most athletes don't play 10 years. But let's say you did play 10 years, and you're making, let's say you're making $1 million a year, which is probably higher than the average, but 50% of that goes to taxes. And you got 20% goes to a business manager. Then you got 15% that goes to an agent. So that $1 million a year is actually like 300,000 of real disposable income.
Right.
So $1 million a year isn't $1 million a year. Just like when you win the lotto, you win $100 million, Powerball. When you get the check, that $100 million is only 52 million.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, where'd the money go?
Because why don't you take it in a lump sum and taxes?
Yeah, taxes. Yeah. So people don't realize that. They think, someone makes $20 million a year. They're like, oh, they're set for life. They're actually making 10. And after they pay their management, 8. And then they have their trainer and whatever personal coach and, their personal business manager. So that's another $1.5 million or 2 million. So now they are down to like 6 million.
Yeah.
Which is still a lot of money, but it's not
what
it's not what they thought.
Right. So during this pandemic, what did you come to realize, and how are you transforming your life?
Well, I realized I was spending too much time on all the wrong things. A few years ago, I had friends that were telling me, hey, you got to focus on some other businesses that kind of help you through the tough times. And I kind of drifted away from the things I was passionate about. I tried to become a little business savvy. I tried a few businesses that failed epically, lost a lot of money. And I wasn't happy, so then I heard a great graduation inspirational video from Jim Carrey, this speech that he did. And there's something that he said that rang, which was, why try and fail at the things that you hate doing when you can, fail at the things you love to do. And I thought, well, that's a good, that's even the bad outcome is a pretty good one,
Right.
because at least you're doing something that makes you happy. So, I haven't achieved the level of success yet in my industry, but, I haven't given up on it either. And it makes me happy to try to, push these projects forward. And I think it's just a matter of time. I mean, we all don't become successful at 18, and Wayne Huizenga didn't make it big till he was like 56 years old. So
yeah, that's true. But you're doing some things a little differently. You've gotten back into photography, and can you explain what it is that you're doing with photography now?
Yeah, I'm taking it a little more seriously. Everything that I've done up to now has been kind of like, I've just had like a natural talent. I really haven't nurtured it or studied. It's kind of like, I was amused to find out that the Beatles didn't know how to read music. They just picked up and played, hey, what sounded good, what felt good. And it wasn't until years later that some of them tried to learn how to read music and write music. So I'm just actually learning years after being a decently pretty successful photographer, learning the actual concepts behind photography and lighting and stuff like that. So that's kind of interesting. I kind of do things backwards.
It's like you do it, figure it out, wing
Yeah.
it, and then go back and say,
Yeah,
"Oh,
absolutely. Well, I've done some shoots where I do some great stuff and I sell it for a lot of money. And then people ask me how I did it or they want me to replicate it, and I can't. I don't remember what I did or how I did it. I just, it felt right, it looked right, and voila.
uh, staying in like being in alignment and attuned with your intuition and just letting that energy flow to create the masterpiece or whatever it is that end result
Yeah,
and it
yeah. I hear that. I watch a lot of interviews and biographies with different types of artists, whether they're actors or theater or musicians or whatever. And I hear a lot of musicians when they go when they have these sessions, they go in a room and they just start playing around until something feels and sounds right. And sometimes they don't know exactly what they did, and someone's got to go back and say, hey, remember it sounded something like this, like, oh, okay. The most recent story I heard was, oh yeah, when David Bowie got together with Queen and they were writing under pressure
Mhm.
one night in Switzerland in a studio, and they were just fiddling around, and Duncan came out with that bass line, that famous bass line, and it's just something that felt right. And later on that night, when they decided to record a song, they couldn't remember what the bass line sounded like, and they were like, oh, wait a minute, try it like this, and fortunately, David Bowie remembered exactly what it was like. But you hear some interesting stories from other types of artists on how they work, how they create, and you kind of realize and see there's no one true way to do it. Everyone has their own method. So I just kind of wing it. But you can only wing it for so long. I think there comes a time where you gotta actually learn the craft.
Mhm.
You know,
But so
uh,
far with your photography work, because I've seen pictures of models that you've done and whatnot, but isn't the a true saying that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder?
oh,
And with
absolutely.
photographers,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, you give a camera to three people in a room, and you tell them to shoot a subject, you'll see three different points of view.
mhm,
I see beauty very differently. I've shot a lot of high-profile models, Playboy, Maxim type, very sexy fashion stuff. But my shots are always very different. I mean, I don't do your, show me your, you know, booty type thing, but my pictures are very sexy but very tasteful. And I always focus on the face. Not body's nice, but you know, all the beauty and drama and life experience and expressions and feelings and everything come from the face. So
mhm.
I'll always focus on the face, kind of natural gesture, something that
Yeah,
they want to. Yeah. I like using humor also if they do something that I think is whimsical, that's natural to them, some kind of gesture. I'll try to get them to do that naturally rather than pose. I don't. I'm not too crazy about people that pose, and that's why you go on Instagram or these whatever social media and you see a model or a regular person with the same damn pose, 1,000 pictures with the same pose. I kind of I'll let the person do whatever they want to do. If they want to pose, and I'll take as many pictures as possible. And the pictures that I use are always one that they would never be able to pose for because they would never, they never feel it. They never
mhm.
be, they wouldn't have that awareness. I'll get them when they least expect it. I always say I'm like a sniper. When it comes to shooting, I look for that one opportune moment to grab that moment, that that scene, you know. And sometimes you got to take a lot of pictures for that one shot, and sometimes you just gotta wait for the right time and get lucky.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Good.
during
Mhm.
this pandemic, you talk about the book, but there's something else that you're
Oh
getting
well,
back into.
yeah. Well, the pandemic, I used it as a time for self improvement and reflection. So I kind of was thinking about what I don't like about my life and what I wanted to change. Uh, I took up the time to write a couple scripts that I've been thinking about for a while that I'm developing, and to finish writing my book. I was doing a lot of writing, and that's a skill I've kind of picked up the last few years. So I'm taking a creative writing class in the fall, college level, to kind of
Good
improve
for
my
you.
writing skills there. Yeah. I'm taking Italian also. Yeah, parlo
Ooh.
italiano. So I'm taking that uh, second summer session. So that should be interesting. And yeah, because I want to go to Italy next year. So
Oh wow, good for you.
see what happens.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm so excited that I got to finally get you on my show. We've been in touch here and there because our different things going on, different projects and whatnot. And I'm glad uh, that everything is working out for you. And what can you tell others that are watching or listening about true passion and their desire for anything that they want to pursue in life?
Hmm. Um, well, you know, I I always even though sometimes I may not have adhered to it, but I try to follow some of the golden rules. Which the number one rule for me is believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see. So there's always opportunities coming up that arise for things that you want to do. So I always vet things, um, and before going into doing something that you think you're passionate about, is assess, evaluate. Well, what's the end result? How do you want to feel? What are you looking to get out of it? Because a lot of people start doing things and they really don't know what they're trying to get out of it, and then they're unfulfilled. And ironically, some of those people, once they start thinking about it, you know, they realize that, oh yeah, I guess I am fulfilled. I am getting what I'm getting out of it. I'm just not aware of it. But you want to be in a mindset of constant awareness. I think that's key. Yeah, be in that state of awareness. Progress. Seeing how you progress, and uh, assessing what the fruit of those efforts are. Is it a feeling, which I think is the most important thing? Is it monetary? I mean, if you're doing things for just money, you're going to be unhappy and disappointed. It never works out. Um, I mean, some of those lessons I learned the hard way. When I was doing some of my biggest projects, when I was doing videos for like Christina Aguilera and Missy Elliott and some of the Pitbull stuff, I mean, I really didn't enjoy that time in my life. I was always thinking about the bigger, better thing, and you know, uh, I would probably tell my younger self to enjoy that time, enjoy the moment a little more than I did. But yeah, did I
Wow.
answer your question? I don't know. I felt like I was rambling.
No, you're very good. But then it would be like, you know, during my self-evaluation, I did my, you know, what are my beliefs? Do they serve a purpose or are they limiting me? What are my emotions and feelings and energy attached to those beliefs? Does this belong in my future where I want to go? And what are the habits that I created that no longer serves me as well? So it's like going really deep in especially if there's a blockage or something not coming through or a breakthrough kind of thing, don't you think that, wait a minute, what am I doing? What are my
Well,
thoughts? What am I
beliefs,
doing? What am I doing?
yeah, we all have belief systems, and I think it contributes to who we are. Beliefs are great, and we find inspiration and motivation behind them. I'm not too big on emotions, because emotions, if you do things based on emotions, it always leads you down the wrong path. So emotions don't serve us. Um, uh, I think it's more important what we do, and how our actions correlate with our belief system, and then the fruit of that, or the manifestation of that, I think will create the right emotions if we're the type of person who, oh well, I'm an emotional person, I'm passionate, yeah, I mean, everybody wants to be happy. That's something I learned last few years. There's a lot of people aren't aware that there's a difference between being happy and being joyful.
Mm-hmm.
And my battery's gonna die. My bad.
Oh, no. Oh, I lost you. Are you there? Well, we got cut off short. His battery just died. And you know what? Antonio is a very good hearted person, and he always sees and believes that, just do good, live for the moment, live for today. He had some challenges that he shared with us, and I wish him the best. Oh, and he's back. Yay!
I'm at 2%. How'd I do?
You're back. We're still live. So I was just
Hey,
talking about you.
we're live with Kimberly. Hi, this
So,
is Antonio. We're in Coral Springs on location at Rita's Frozen Custard.
and how was it?
It was delicious.
There
Okay,
you
so
go.
like I was saying before we get disconnected again, there's a difference between being happy and having joy in your life. A lot of people don't know the difference. Being happy is fleeing. It's a moment. It's a moment in time. And having joy in your life is a constant. So I learned that I rather have joy in my life than be happy.
Oh, wow. That's
Mm-hmm.
an interesting perception. Thank you for sharing that. Well, Antonio, I thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to having more interviews with you. And you have your show coming, your book coming.
Thank you. It was fun. Oh, yeah. And I got a podcast coming up. It's called Crazy Stupid Love. Crazy Stupid Love. And I'm launching it at the end of the year. It's about modern love and relationships.
I definitely want to be on that show with you.
Yeah, I got some really great co-hosts also. Hey, I'll have you on too. But
right.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But good talking to you. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. And enjoy the rest of your week. And I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, there you go. It is a wonderful talking to Antonio, catching up with him and finding out, what he's been up to and to share his message. And I look forward to next Monday's episode. So you got to stay tuned. And more to come on Wake Up with KC here. Bye. See you next Monday.